Early morning sunlight spilled over the quiet Pennsylvania train station, casting long golden streaks across the cracked platform. A gentle breeze rustled the weeds that had grown between the gravel and concrete. Emily, a small 8-year-old girl with curly brown hair and wide, curious eyes, walked hand in hand with her mother. She had insisted on visiting the station that morning, even though it was unusual for them to come this early. "I just like the sound of the trains, Mom," she said, skipping along the edge of the platform. Her mother smiled indulgently, tightening her scarf against the crisp February air. The station was almost deserted, save for a janitor sweeping near the ticket booth and a lone commuter sipping coffee on a bench. Emily's attention wandered to the massive freight train parked on the far track. Its wheels gleamed in the morning sun, and the massive steel cars loomed like sleeping giants. She loved trains, their smell of oil, the clanging metal, the vibration beneath her feet. But today something else caught her attention. A faint, pitiful sound rose from beneath the stationary train. At first she thought it might be a bird trapped in the steel undercarriage. But the sound was more desperate, higher-pitched, tremulous, almost human in its sorrow. Emily froze, her hand tightening around her mother. "Mom, do you hear that?" she whispered. Her mother, following Emily's gaze, paused. "Hear what, honey?" she asked, squinting. But before she could lean closer, the whimpering became clearer, punctuated by tiny yelps and frantic scratching. Emily's curiosity overcame her hesitation. She slowly crouched, peering under the massive freight train. Her breath caught, and her small hands clutched the edge of the platform as she leaned closer. There, partially trapped between the gravel and the undercarriage, were 5 German Shepherd puppies. Their fur was a mix of black and tan, matted with dust and flecks of straw. Each puppy's eyes were wide with fear, glistening with unshed tears, and their tiny paws were wedged awkwardly in the gaps between the gravel and the rail supports. "Oh my goodness," Emily whispered, her voice trembling. She crouched closer, careful not to scare them further. "It's okay, little ones, I'm here, you're safe." One of the puppies, the smallest of the group, tilted its head nervously, letting out a high-pitched whimper. The others responded, their cries blending into a chorus of helpless panic. Emily's mother quickly knelt beside her, feeling her daughter's fear and urgency. "Call 911, honey." "We need help," she said, pulling her phone from her pocket. Emily obeyed, her small fingers dialing the number while her eyes never left the trembling pups. The dispatcher answered immediately, and soon the calm but firm voice of an operator guided Emily's mother through the situation. "Stay on the line," the operator said, "and don't touch the animals. Help is on the way." Emily continued to crouch near the edge, softly talking to the pups. She murmured their names instinctively: Max, Luna, Bella, Rocky, Duke, even though she had no idea what they were called. The words seemed to comfort them, their ears flicking toward her voice. Time stretched slowly. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, and each yip and whimper from the puppies sent a jolt of panic through her small body. She noticed their tiny tails tucked between their legs, the way their paws trembled in the gravel, and the way their noses twitched, sniffing her scent in desperation. One puppy tried to crawl forward, but the gravel caught under its paw, forcing it back. Emily reached out a tentative hand, hovering just above the little one's fur. "I won't hurt you," she whispered. "I promise." Moments later, distant sirens grew louder. Emily's mother motioned to her to stand back, and soon firefighters and animal control officers arrived. They jumped out of their trucks, pulling on gloves and grabbing specialized tools. The fire chief, a tall man with a kind but serious face, approached Emily and crouched beside her. "You're the one who found them?" he asked gently. Emily nodded, her voice barely audible. "They're scared. They can't get out." The chief nodded solemnly, then radioed for the crane and lifting equipment to be brought closer. While waiting for the equipment, Emily continued to talk to the puppies, her voice soft and rhythmic. "It's okay, Max, Luna, don't be scared, I'll help you," she murmured. The puppies, though still trembling, seemed to sense her calm presence. One of the bolder pups inched forward slightly, sniffing her hand but stopping short of trust. The fire chief noticed and whispered to Emily's mother, "Her presence is helping them stay calm. Don't move her away just yet." Emily glanced around and noticed how the community was starting to gather. A few early commuters had stopped, bringing blankets and bottles of water. Some quietly filmed the scene, while others whispered prayers and words of encouragement. The station had transformed from a deserted morning stop into a hub of compassion. Even the janitor had stopped sweeping, leaning on his broom as he watched the tiny lives struggle for freedom. The puppy's cries grew more urgent as one of them, a small black and tan male, twisted his paw awkwardly, trapped deeper in the gravel. Emily's chest tightened. She whispered louder, urging him to stay calm. "I know it hurts, just hold on, help is coming." Her voice trembled, but it carried sincerity, fear, and hope all at once. It was a strange, powerful thing, an 8-year-old girl's empathy becoming a lifeline for 5 tiny lives. By the time the crane arrived, the fire chief and animal control had assessed the situation thoroughly. They explained to Emily and her mother that they would need to lift the train just slightly to access the puppy safely. Emily nodded, biting her lip, unwilling to look away. The puppy's eyes followed every movement, their small bodies tense with fear. Emily whispered their names again, softly stroking the gravel near Max's head. Slowly, cautiously, the rescue was about to begin. And for Emily, the morning had already become a test of courage, patience, and compassion. Even as the professionals prepared their tools, Emily remained kneeling beside the platform's edge, her heart racing. She realized how fragile life could be, how quickly fear could overwhelm the smallest beings, and how her presence, her attention, her words, her care had already made a difference. She wasn't just a witness. She was part of the rescue. And as the first crane began to hum softly, raising the massive train even a few inches, Emily whispered one last reassurance to the pups. "I won't leave you. You're going to be okay, I promise." And in that quiet, tense moment, as the morning sun warmed her cheeks, Emily understood something extraordinary, that even a small person could have a powerful impact, and that courage and kindness were sometimes as vital as tools and strength. By the time the crane and specialized lifting tools arrived, Emily's hands were stiff from the cold, but she refused to step back. The whining and yipping of the 5 German Shepherd puppies echoed under the massive train, each sound slicing through the quiet morning air. Emily knelt on the edge of the platform, murmuring softly to the pups, "It's okay, Max, Luna, don't be scared, help is here." Her voice was small, but somehow it reached their frantic ears. The tiniest pup, a trembling male Emily had already begun to call Max, flinched at every metallic clang and shuffle above him. The fire chief, a tall, broad-shouldered man with silver-streaked hair, approached Emily's mother and crouched down. "We need to stay calm, folks. This is delicate work," he said. "The pups are frightened and the gravel beneath the train makes it dangerous. Any sudden movement could injure them further. We're going to use the crane to lift the train just a few inches, enough for Officer Miguel to crawl under safely and reach them." Emily's mother nodded, her hand tightening around Emily's shoulder. "Do you think they'll be okay?" she whispered. The chief offered a reassuring smile, but his eyes were serious. "If we're careful, yes, but it's going to take patience." Meanwhile, Emily continued to speak to the puppies, her words soft but steady. She placed a small hand just above Max's head, not touching him but letting her warmth radiate. The black and tan pup inched closer, sniffing the air, then recoiled at the metallic groan of the crane. Luna, the slightly larger female, yipped sharply and retreated into the shadows beneath the wheels. Emily's heart ached. She had never seen anything so helpless, so small, and so terrified. She whispered, "I'm right here. You're safe, I won't leave you." The first firefighter to approach the undercarriage was Officer Miguel, a lean man with gentle eyes and hands calloused from years of rescue work. He crawled carefully under the raised train, flashlight in hand, shining it on the trapped pups. "Easy, little ones," he murmured. The puppies froze, ears flattened and tails tucked. Emily's voice joined his from above. "It's okay, you can trust him, we're helping." Slowly, one of the timid pups, Bella, twitched forward, then froze again. Miguel patiently coaxed her with low, steady words and soft whistles, avoiding any sudden movements. The process was painstaking. Every inch Miguel advanced under the train had to be measured against the stability of the gravel and the trembling pup's reactions. The crane lifted only millimeter by millimeter, each squeak of the metal making the puppies flinch. Emily held her breath with each sound, her eyes wide and tears threatening to spill. Rocky, the boldest pup, tried to scramble forward, slipping slightly in the gravel. Emily reached out a hand instinctively, but Miguel gently blocked her. "Don't touch," he said softly. "They need to trust us, not get more frightened." Nearby, Dr. Harris, the local veterinarian, had set up a small temporary station with blankets, water, and a few small treats. He whispered instructions to volunteers. "Be ready to wrap them immediately once they're free. They're terrified and dehydrated, and the shock alone could be dangerous." Volunteers nodded, their expressions tense but determined. One young man quietly said, "I've never seen anything like this before. 5 puppies all trapped under a train, it's almost impossible." Dr. Harris shook his head. "Impossible isn't the word. Dangerous, yes. But with care, patience, and calm, we can do it." Emily continued to murmur to the pups, sometimes leaning closer to the gravel without touching, feeling their vibrations under her small fingers. "Max, it's okay, you're okay, we're helping." Slowly, the timid pup inched forward, sniffing the air. Luna's ears twitched. Emily whispered, "Good girl, you're brave, so brave." The fire chief signaled the crane operator to lift slightly higher, enough for Miguel to reach Bella's paw. With gentle hands, he lifted the paw free and Bella scrambled backward, trembling but safe. Emily clapped softly, whispering words of encouragement. "See, I told you it's okay. You're safe now." Next came Rocky and Duke, who required careful maneuvering. Their paws were wedged tightly between the gravel and the rail supports. Miguel gently lifted each paw while Emily continued her soft whispers. The puppies whimpered, but gradually they began to trust the humans' movements. Emily's heart raced with every motion, her small chest tight with fear and hope. She had never realized how fragile life could feel in one small moment. The tension in the air was palpable. A wrong move could have meant serious injury. Finally, all but Max were free. The black and tan male remained frozen in place, eyes wide with terror, tail tucked under him. He had been the smallest, weakest, and most frightened. Emily's heart sank. She knelt closer, whispering his name with steady cadence. Miguel inched toward him, speaking softly. "Hey, little guy, you can do this. I won't hurt you." Emily added, "It's okay, Max, you're safe. Come on, baby, we're helping you." Max's ears twitched. He trembled violently but didn't run. Slowly, inch by inch, Emily's voice and Miguel's gentle presence coaxed him forward. The crane operator carefully adjusted the lift, just enough to give Miguel room to maneuver. Emily's mother held her daughter's shoulders, whispering encouragement. The station had gone completely silent, save for the faint hum of the crane and Max's trembling yips. Emily leaned closer, whispering, "I'm right here. You can do it. Come on, Max. Come to me." With a final, hesitant lunge, Max scrambled free, landing softly on the platform beside Emily. She scooped him into her arms, feeling his tiny heart pounding against hers. Tears ran down her cheeks as she whispered, "You're safe now, you're okay." The crowd that had gathered erupted into soft applause and murmurs of relief. Bella, Rocky, Luna, and Duke huddled together, wagging tails and licking hands extended toward them. Emily stayed kneeling with Max, stroking his fur, murmuring reassurances. Dr. Harris knelt beside them, smiling. "They're going to be fine now. They just needed patience, care, and someone who believed in them." Emily smiled through her tears, realizing she had played a vital role in calming the pups, allowing the rescue to succeed. By the time all 5 puppies were safely freed, the morning sun had risen higher, warming the platform. Emily looked down at the trembling, frightened pups now safe in blankets. She had never felt so exhausted or so proud. The firefighters, animal control officers, and volunteers shared nods of relief. It had been a tense, painstaking effort, but the sight of all 5 puppies alive, trembling but safe, filled the entire station with hope. Emily knew the rescue wasn't over. These pups still needed care, but for now they were free. And as Emily held Max close, whispering soft reassurances while the other puppies nestled in blankets, she realized something extraordinary. Even a small, frightened child could make a difference. Her voice, her calm presence, her insistence on staying near the pups had helped save lives. The rescue had tested courage, patience, and empathy, but in the end it had succeeded. not just because of tools and strength, but because of kindness, understanding, and unwavering compassion. The stage was now set for the next part of the story: medical care, healing, and the emotional journey that would follow. But for Emily, that quiet moment, cradling Max and whispering softly to 5 tiny lives, would remain etched in her memory forever. She had discovered something profound. That courage, no matter how small, and empathy, no matter how young, could make a real difference in the world. By the time the 5 German Shepherd puppies were safely freed from under the train, a small crowd had gathered at the station. News of the rescue attempt had spread rapidly through the quiet Pennsylvania town. People from nearby homes, local shopkeepers, and even commuters who had paused their morning routines had come to see the drama unfold. Blankets, bottled water, and soft towels appeared in outstretched hands. Someone placed a small box of dog treats near the temporary setup. The energy of the crowd was gentle but urgent, full of hope and concern, as if the town itself had collectively decided to nurture the terrified animals. Emily knelt beside Max, still trembling lightly in her arms. She whispered softly, "You're okay, Max, it's all over now. I've got you." The small pup nuzzled against her neck, still afraid but trusting the warmth of her embrace. Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke were now wrapped in volunteers' blankets, eyes wide and scanning the surroundings. Their frantic energy had begun to calm slightly, but every movement from the crowd or shift of a blanket made them flinch. Emily's presence was the tether between their fear and safety, and she refused to leave, even as the crowd began murmuring in soft admiration of her bravery. "Dr. Harris, can we start checking them now?" asked one volunteer, a young woman holding a warm towel. Dr. Harris, the town veterinarian who had arrived almost immediately after the call, crouched near the pups with a calm and professional demeanor. His eyes were gentle as he assessed the tiny, trembling figures. "Yes," he said. "We'll go slowly. They're frightened and we want to minimize stress. Let's start with the one that's been the most terrified, Max." Emily's hands tightened slightly around Max as if to protect him further. "He's okay," she whispered to herself. "We can do this." The crowd watched in quiet awe. People had come together with an unspoken understanding. This was not just a rescue story, it was a community effort. Some whispered prayers, others offered gentle words of encouragement. "They've been through so much already," said an older man, wiping his eyes. "But look at them now, safe, thanks to a brave little girl and all of you." The townspeople's empathy was palpable, a living warmth that seemed to make the cold morning air a little less harsh. Emily continued speaking softly to the puppies, giving each one a name aloud. "Luna, Bella, Rocky, Duke, Max, it's okay, you're safe now. We're going to help you." Her voice carried across the station, small but steady, imbued with both innocence and wisdom beyond her years. The puppies, though still trembling, started to relax slightly under the sound of her repeated reassurances. Rocky's ears twitched as he sniffed the air, and Luna gave a tentative wag of her tiny tail. The simple human presence, the warmth of a child who truly cared, was working wonders. Dr. Harris began the careful examination, first gently lifting Max out of Emily's arms and laying him on a soft blanket. He checked for scrapes, minor bruises, and dehydration, speaking softly to calm him. "Good boy, easy now, you're okay." Max shivered but remained still, trusting the gentle hands and the calm voice. The other pups were examined next, each one trembling at first but gradually settling into the blankets as volunteers stroked them and whispered soothing words. Emily hovered nearby, holding her hands close to the pups' heads, speaking softly, a lifeline of reassurance. Meanwhile, the fire chief and animal control officers coordinated the crowd, ensuring that no one got too close to the puppy's delicate space. "Remember," he instructed gently, "these are traumatized animals. They can sense fear. Keep calm, keep quiet, and let Dr. Harris and the volunteers handle them." Even with strict instructions, people continued to offer blankets, hot water bottles, and soft towels. A young couple brought a small portable heater to warm the area, and another resident offered a basket of soft toys for comfort. The collective compassion of the town was tangible, a living net of support that seemed to envelop the puppies. Emily's mother knelt beside her, brushing a curl from her daughter's face. "You've been so brave," she whispered. Emily shook her head, eyes glued to Max, whispering his name over and over. "I just wanted them to be okay, Mom. I couldn't leave them, I couldn't." Tears glistened in her wide eyes, mixing fear, relief, and pride. The moment was intimate, yet shared by the entire gathered crowd. Everyone understood that this child's empathy had made an irreplaceable difference. The situation was tense, yet hopeful. The puppies, once frantic and panicked, were now slowly beginning to trust human touch. Emily's voice, gentle and unhurried, had coaxed them into a fragile sense of security. Dr. Harris continued with care, checking tiny paws for abrasions and scrapes, examining their eyes for dehydration, and palpating their small bodies for signs of internal injury. Each puppy responded to his soft voice, though occasionally one would whimper or squirm. Emily stayed near, whispering words of comfort and stroking their fur lightly, her own tears mingling with relief. Some volunteers took it upon themselves to comfort the puppies with soft towels, holding them close and speaking quietly. Bella began to wag her tail ever so slightly, a small but significant sign of trust. Rocky leaned into a volunteer's chest and gave a tentative lick. Luna closed her eyes for a brief moment, trembling less than before. The slow transformation was almost magical. Terrified pups had begun to sense safety, love, and care. Emily's tiny presence had anchored them through their fear. The crowd remained silent in respect, but their collective energy was palpable. Some whispered words of encouragement, others filmed carefully, but no one tried to rush the process. Every sound and motion was measured, designed to reinforce calm. Emily spoke constantly, a soft cadence that seemed to reach even the most terrified of the pups. "It's okay, you're safe, I'm here, we'll help you," she repeated. Max trembled but leaned into her. Luna stretched her small body in relaxation, and the others began to settle as well. By the time the initial medical checks were complete, the station was filled with a sense of relief and quiet joy. The puppies were safe for the first time in what could have been hours, or longer, of fear and uncertainty. Emily's mother hugged her tightly, whispering, "You did it, you helped save them." Emily's small shoulders shook as tears fell freely. "We did it," she said softly, looking at the crowd, at the firefighters, at Dr. Harris, and at the volunteers. "We helped them." And in that moment, the quiet train station became a symbol of unity, compassion, and hope. The townspeople shared stories of their own pets, memories of animals they had rescued or lost. Even strangers hugged each other, bonded by the shared experience of witnessing courage, empathy, and life saved. Dr. Harris smiled, checking off each puppy on his notes, preparing them for warmth, hydration, and eventual foster care. Emily knelt beside Max, stroking his soft fur, whispering encouragement and promising him a safe tomorrow. The small black and tan pup leaned into her, finally feeling a sense of calm. The morning sun climbed higher, warming the platform and casting golden light on a small but extraordinary scene. A town, a child, and 5 terrified puppies united in hope and healing. Emily realized something profound, that courage and compassion, even from the smallest person, could make a tremendous difference. This was more than a rescue. It was a lesson in empathy, patience, and community. And though the journey for the puppies, full recovery, had just begun, their first step into safety was complete, and everyone who had witnessed it would never forget the courage, hope, and humanity that had saved them. The crane's massive arm groaned as it began the slow, careful lift of the stationary freight train. Emily knelt at the edge of the platform, her breath caught in her chest, eyes locked on the small forms of the 5 German Shepherd puppies trapped beneath. She felt Max tremble in her arms as she whispered softly, "It's okay, Max, you're safe now. I won't let anything happen to you." The tiniest yips from beneath the train echoed faintly against the steel undercarriage, reminding her of how precarious their situation still was. Officer Miguel, the fireman who had crawled under the train before, prepared to approach again. He wore heavy gloves and a helmet with a bright light, crawling carefully beneath the lifted train. The space was narrower than anyone could imagine, and the gravel beneath the tracks shifted with every movement. Miguel's flashlight caught the frightened eyes of Bella, the female pup closest to the support beams. She froze completely, ears flattened, trembling violently. Emily's voice reached down to her, whispering, "You can do this, it's okay, we're here to help you." The crowd at the station watched in tense silence. Every crane groan, every metallic click made the pups flinch. Emily's mother held her daughter's shoulder tightly. "Be careful, honey," she whispered. Emily nodded, tears brimming, but she refused to move. She had spent hours speaking softly to the pups, keeping them calm while waiting for the professionals to act. Now she realized how much courage it took not just for her, but for everyone involved to face this dangerous rescue head-on. The first pup to be reached was Bella. Miguel inched toward her, gently brushing his gloved hand along the gravel near her paw, careful not to startle her. Bella froze, but Emily's whispering coaxed her. "Good girl, it's okay, you're safe, see, we're helping you." Slowly, Miguel managed to lift her paw free, and Bella scrambled backward, trembling but safe. A collective sigh of relief passed through the crowd. Emily's chest heaved as she murmured encouragement, watching the brave little pup retreat to the blankets that Dr. Harris and volunteers had prepared. Next came Rocky and Duke, who were wedged more deeply in the gravel. Each move required precision. Miguel had to use special lifting tools to gently pry the gravel away from their tiny paws while avoiding sudden jostling of the train. Emily crouched, whispering words of reassurance, calling each pup by name, her voice steady despite her own fear. Rocky, the boldest of the bunch, initially resisted but eventually allowed Miguel to lift him free. Duke followed, trembling and unsure, but eventually gave in to the calm guidance. Emily's mother wiped tears from her face as she watched her daughter continue to act as a bridge between the frightened pups and the rescuers. Then came Luna, who was cowering in the shadows, her body pressed close to the undercarriage. Emily leaned closer, whispering, "Luna, it's okay, we're here, we won't hurt you." Luna twitched nervously but slowly inched forward, her small nose sniffing the air. Miguel reached her paw, lifting it carefully, and she scrambled into the safety of a blanket. Emily's voice carried over the crowd, reassuring the pup, and the tiny yelps began to soften. For a brief moment, everyone felt relief wash over them. The fear of the unknown had diminished, at least partially. Finally, only Max remained. The black and tan male pup, the smallest and most timid, was frozen solid. He had not moved in hours, even when the others were freed. Emily held him close, whispering his name softly, stroking his head and rocking gently. "It's okay, Max, you can do it, I won't leave you, we'll help you." Officer Miguel approached cautiously, whispering low, calm words, trying to coax Max toward him. Every shift of the train made the pup flinch violently. Emily's heart pounded. One wrong move could send Max scrambling further under the train, risking injury. The crane lifted the train just slightly higher, giving Miguel enough room to maneuver. Emily's small hands hovered near Max, radiating warmth and comfort. Slowly, Max inched forward, encouraged by Emily's constant reassurance and Miguel's gentle guidance. The crowd held their collective breath as Max finally scrambled forward, one paw at a time, trembling violently but moving steadily. Emily whispered softly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Good boy, you're okay, you're safe, almost there." With one final careful lift and a gentle tug from Miguel, Max scrambled free from the gravel. Emily caught him in her arms, holding him tightly against her chest. The little pup's heart pounded against hers, trembling but safe. A cheer rose quietly from the crowd, full of relief and awe. The firefighters, Dr. Harris, and volunteers shared smiles and nods, knowing the danger had passed. Emily whispered softly to Max, stroking his fur, and he nuzzled her neck, finally beginning to calm. The other pups were now nestled safely in blankets, tails wagging, trembling less. Bella, Rocky, Luna, and Duke explored their surroundings cautiously, licking hands offered by volunteers. The scene had transformed from chaos and fear to one of safety, warmth, and hope. Emily's small presence had been a crucial part of this transformation. Her calm voice, gentle touch, and unwavering attention had helped the terrified pups trust the humans around them. Without her, the rescue might have been far more stressful for the puppies. Dr. Harris began preliminary medical checks immediately. Emily knelt beside him, whispering encouragement to each pup. "You're okay, see? They're here to help, you're safe now." The crowd watched as the transformation continued. Rocky wagged his tail tentatively. Luna closed her eyes, resting in a volunteer's arms. Even Max, still trembling slightly, began to settle under Emily's gentle hold. Emily's heart swelled. She realized that even small acts of courage, empathy, and patience could ripple into monumental results. The station, once quiet and still, was now alive with emotional energy. Tears, whispered words, and soft laughter filled the air. The townspeople shared glances of mutual admiration and respect, recognizing the bravery displayed not just by the rescue team, but by the small girl who had refused to leave the frightened puppies alone. Emily's mother hugged her tightly, whispering, "You did it, you helped save them." Emily smiled through tears, brushing back her hair and murmuring, "We did it. All of us together." The train remained slightly lifted while the final checks were made to ensure all puppies were unharmed. Volunteers wrapped them in warm blankets, offering gentle strokes and soft words. Dr. Harris examined each one carefully, checking for bruises, scrapes, and signs of dehydration. Each puppy responded to the care, though occasionally one would squirm or whimper. Emily stayed close, her hands radiating warmth, her whispers constant. The dangerous lift was complete, and the puppies were finally free from the train, though their journey toward full safety and comfort had only begun. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting a golden glow across the platform, Emily looked down at Max nestled against her chest and the other 4 pups settling in blankets. The relief and joy were overwhelming. The morning had been tense, dangerous, and frightening, yet in the end, patience, care, and empathy had triumphed. The community had witnessed something extraordinary: the courage of professionals, the calm bravery of a child, and the resilience of 5 terrified puppies. Emily realized something profound in that moment. Courage did not have to be loud or grand to matter. Even a small, trembling voice, a soft touch, an unwavering presence could be enough to save lives. Max nuzzled her neck, trembling slightly but finally calm. She smiled through tears, realizing the depth of the connection she had forged with the tiny lives she had helped protect. And though the rescue was over, the emotional journey for Emily, Max, and the other puppies was just beginning. A journey of healing, love, and community support that would leave a lasting impact on everyone who had witnessed it. The rescue team carefully moved the 5 German Shepherd puppies to a safer section of the station platform, away from the looming freight train. The sun had risen higher now, casting warm light on the trembling pups, who were wrapped in soft blankets provided by the volunteers. Emily stayed on her knees beside Max, her small hand stroking his fur gently, murmuring reassurance. "It's okay, Max. You're safe now, you're going to be okay." Max nuzzled her, still trembling but trusting her completely. The transformation from terror to cautious comfort had begun, but the journey toward recovery was only starting. Dr. Harris, the local veterinarian, knelt before the first pup, his hands gentle as he began a thorough examination. "We'll start with Max," he said, his voice calm and steady. Emily remained close, whispering encouragement to the little black and tan pup, stroking his head softly. Dr. Harris examined his tiny paws first, finding minor abrasions from being trapped in the gravel. He checked his legs and back, looking for signs of bruising or broken bones. Max squirmed slightly but didn't resist the touch, sensing Emily's calm presence. "Good boy, you're strong, see, you're okay," Emily whispered. Her voice, filled with both relief and empathy, was a lifeline for Max. Next, Dr. Harris attended to Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke. Each pup was examined methodically, from their eyes and ears to their small paws and tummies. Luna had a few minor scrapes, Rocky's fur was matted with dust, and Duke trembled slightly under the gentle hands of the veterinarian. Volunteers held the puppies securely, wrapping them in soft blankets to prevent further stress. Emily whispered each pup's name, her voice soft, rhythmic, and reassuring. "Luna, it's okay, you're brave, Bella. You're safe now, Rocky, good boy, Duke, see, we're helping you." Her words seemed to reach the frightened animals, creating a fragile bridge of trust. The crowd watched silently, witnessing the delicate interplay of patience, compassion, and professional skill. Strangers who had gathered hours ago were now fully invested in the well-being of the pups. Some whispered prayers, others shared stories of their own pets, and a few quietly wept at the sight of these small lives recovering from trauma. One volunteer offered a bottle of water to Rocky, who sniffed at it cautiously before taking a small sip. Emily clapped softly, whispering, "Good boy, see. You're safe now." Even after being freed, the puppies remained frightened. Every noise, the scraping of a shovel, the creak of the crane still suspended above the train, or the shuffling of volunteers' feet made them flinch. Emily stayed close, leaning forward slightly, speaking in a gentle cadence. It's okay, you're safe. No one's going to hurt you now." Her presence was a calming anchor, her small voice a source of reassurance in the otherwise overwhelming environment. Dr. Harris nodded at her, recognizing that her calm influence had been as important to the rescue as any tool or procedure. Once the initial examination was complete, Dr. Harris began treating minor injuries. Max received a small antiseptic application on his tiny paw abrasions. Bella and Luna's fur was gently cleaned, removing dust and debris. Rocky's little scrapes were dressed carefully, and Duke was wrapped in a warm towel, shivering slightly. Each step was slow, deliberate, and careful to prevent startling the pups. Emily's hands hovered nearby, ready to provide comfort. She whispered continuously, stroking their fur whenever possible, her small presence an emotional balm for the frightened animals. The emotional weight of the morning was apparent in everyone present. Emily's mother knelt beside her daughter, brushing back tears. "You've been so brave," she whispered. Emily shook her head, her eyes still glued to Max. "I just wanted them to be okay," she murmured. "I couldn't leave them, I had to help." Her words reflected both humility and the pure empathy of a child who had faced a heart-wrenching situation and refused to look away. Volunteers, firefighters, and even strangers were moved by her unwavering compassion. Meanwhile, the rescued puppies began to show small signs of recovery. Luna's ears twitched, and she cautiously wagged her tail. Rocky gave a tentative lick to the volunteer holding him, while Bella snuggled into a blanket, eyes half closed in a rare moment of relaxation. Even Duke, who had been shaking most of the morning, leaned gently into a volunteer's arms. Max, nestled in Emily's lap, began to pant softly, his small body relaxing under her gentle strokes. These subtle changes indicated that the puppies were starting to feel safe and cared for, a testament to both professional intervention and Emily's calm, nurturing presence. Dr. Harris instructed volunteers on next steps, including providing small amounts of water, keeping the pups warm, and monitoring for signs of shock. "They've been through a terrifying ordeal," he said softly. "Even minor injuries are important, but the psychological recovery is just as crucial. They need calm, patience, and love." Emily's soft whispers continued to serve as reassurance, repeating each puppy's name over and over. "Max, Luna, Bella, Rocky, Duke. It's okay, you're safe now. You're brave, you're okay." Her voice created a protective cocoon around the tiny animals, softening their lingering fear. The crowd remained engaged but respectful, realizing the significance of what had just occurred. Strangers shared glances, acknowledging the courage of a child who had spent hours comforting the frightened puppies. Some volunteers knelt beside Emily, quietly assisting, offering additional blankets or water without breaking the calm atmosphere she had established. The station, once tense with danger and panic, had become a sanctuary of care and empathy, demonstrating the extraordinary impact of human compassion. Emily continued to hold Max, murmuring gentle reassurances, as Dr. Harris wrapped him in a warm blanket. The pup's trembling slowed, and he began to nuzzle against her, a sign of growing trust. Emily smiled, brushing back her hair and whispering softly, "You're okay now, Max, see. No more danger, you're safe." Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke also responded to the gentle touch of volunteers, some beginning to wag tails tentatively, exploring their immediate surroundings with growing curiosity. As the morning progressed, the emotional weight of the situation gradually transformed into joy and relief. Emily's mother hugged her daughter, proud and tearful. "You did it," she whispered. Emily shook her head, glancing at the puppies, now calmer but still fragile. "We did it," she said softly, realizing that the rescue was a shared effort. Her voice, the professionals' skills, and the community's care had combined to save 5 lives. By mid-morning, the initial medical care was complete. Dr. Harris provided instructions to the volunteers who would accompany the puppies to temporary foster care, emphasizing warmth, gentle interaction, and continued monitoring. Emily stayed close, cradling Max while observing Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke in their blankets. Each small movement, a wag of a tail, a tentative sniff of the air, a tiny lick, represented progress, the first signs of trust forming after hours of terror. The entire station seemed to breathe collectively with relief. Tears, quiet laughter, and whispered words of encouragement filled the air. Emily realized something profound. Courage and empathy, even from the smallest person, could influence outcomes in ways that no one could anticipate. Max nuzzled her, finally beginning to relax, and the other puppies displayed subtle signs of reassurance, gradually discovering a sense of safety. The morning had been a journey of tension, danger, and uncertainty, but it had also been a testament to the power of human connection. Emily had provided the emotional anchor for the rescue, and the professionals had provided the physical safety. Together, they had transformed a terrifying ordeal into a moment of hope. The community, volunteers, and emergency responders had witnessed the fragile but remarkable resilience of life, guided by care, patience, and empathy. By the time Emily's small hands had stroked Max for what felt like hours, the puppies were calm enough for Dr. Harris to recommend transport to foster homes. Each pup was carefully carried to waiting carriers, wrapped in blankets, and secured for the short journey. Emily whispered final words of encouragement, promising Max she would visit and continue to care for him. Her quiet dedication had left a lasting impact, teaching everyone present about the power of empathy and courage. By mid-morning, the scene at the Pennsylvania train station had transformed from one of tension and fear into a hub of relief, awe, and quiet celebration. The 5 German Shepherd puppies, Max, Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke, were safe, wrapped in soft blankets and resting under the careful watch of Dr. Harris and the volunteers. Emily knelt beside Max, who nestled against her small chest, panting softly, finally beginning to relax after hours of terror. Her hands brushed over his fur as she whispered gently, "It's okay now, you're safe, Max, I've got you." The gathered crowd, once tense and silent, began to murmur words of admiration. Parents hugged children, strangers exchanged smiles, and volunteers congratulated one another on the delicate, careful work that had just been completed. The firefighters and animal control officers, still sweaty and dusty from their efforts, exchanged quiet nods of relief. "It could have gone very differently," murmured one officer, adjusting his gloves. But everyone kept calm, followed procedure, and most importantly, that little girl kept those pups steady. Emily's mother squeezed her shoulder, tears streaming, whispering, "You were amazing." Emily shook her head, focusing on Max, her small fingers stroking his trembling head. As the crowd began to disperse, a team of journalists arrived, drawn by the story of a small girl saving 5 puppies trapped under a train. Cameras clicked, microphones were held, and reporters asked questions, eager to capture the courage and compassion that had saved these lives. Emily clutched Max a little tighter, her small frame shielding him from the flurry of attention. One reporter asked, "Emily, how did you stay so calm when you saw the puppies trapped?" Emily looked up at the microphone with wide, honest eyes. I just wanted them to be okay," she said softly. "I couldn't leave them alone." The journalists were captivated. This wasn't just a story about a rescue. It was about empathy, courage, and the impact of a single child's voice. As Emily's words were broadcast, the townspeople nodded, many wiping tears from their eyes. The quiet bravery of an 8-year-old had united the community and saved 5 lives. Emily's mother held her hand, proud and tearful. "You've made a difference today, Emily. You've really made a difference." Emily's voice trembled slightly as she replied, "We all did it together." Dr. Harris took the puppies one by one, examining them again for any lingering injuries. Max had small scrapes on his paws and legs but was otherwise unharmed. Luna had minor bruises and was slightly dehydrated. Bella, Rocky, and Duke had scrapes and dust-covered fur but were alert and responsive. Each pup was offered small sips of water and soft blankets to curl into. Emily knelt beside each one, whispering words of reassurance, her small hands hovering over their trembling forms, brushing back fur and murmuring, "It's okay, you're safe now, you're brave." The volunteers began documenting the story, photographing the puppies in their blankets, capturing the moments of calm after chaos. Rocky tentatively wagged his tail, Bella explored the soft towel she was wrapped in, and Luna leaned into Emily's gentle hand. The transformation was remarkable. Mere hours earlier, these tiny animals had been terrified and trapped, their cries echoing under the steel train. Now they were beginning to trust, beginning to experience warmth and love. Emily's whispered words, soft touches, and patient presence had played an essential role in this transition. Nearby, a small group of community members shared their experiences with rescued animals. "I found a stray dog years ago," one woman whispered to another. The fear in his eyes was exactly like those puppies. The story resonated, and more people began to offer their assistance. Blankets, water, and soft toys were brought forward, donations for the temporary care of the puppies. The station, once quiet and tense, now thrummed with life, compassion, and the shared satisfaction of a community that had rallied around innocent lives. Emily, still holding Max, noticed how much the other puppies were beginning to explore. Rocky sniffed at a volunteer's sleeve. Luna pressed close to Emily's hand for reassurance. Bella rolled slightly on a soft blanket, and Duke leaned into gentle strokes. Emily whispered encouragement to each, her voice calm, rhythmic, and comforting. "Good job, you're okay, it's all right, you're safe." The puppies began responding subtly, tentative tail wags, gentle nuzzles, and soft sighs of relief. Emily's hands moved like a gentle guide, reinforcing safety and love, helping them process the trauma they had just endured. The journalists continued recording, capturing Emily's quiet courage and the puppy's growing trust. One cameraman said quietly to another, "Look at her. She's 8 years old and completely calm, whispering to them like she knows exactly what to do. It's incredible." The story wasn't just about the rescue, it was about the power of empathy, compassion, and human connection. Emily, once a small girl watching terrified pups, had become the emotional anchor for the entire event. Meanwhile, Dr. Harris began organizing the next steps. "We need to get these pups to temporary foster care for proper hydration, nutrition, and monitoring," he said. Volunteers began carefully moving each puppy into secure carriers. Emily knelt beside Max as he was placed in his carrier, brushing his fur and whispering, "It's okay, I'll see you soon, you're safe." The small gestures, soft voice, and steady touch reassured Max, even in the midst of transportation. Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke were treated the same way. Each pup carefully cradled, wrapped in blankets, and transported to foster homes nearby. The community's relief was palpable. Parents hugged children, volunteers congratulated each other, and firefighters exchanged nods of pride. Emily's mother hugged her tightly, whispering again, "You've been so brave, Emily. I'm so proud of you." Emily's eyes filled with tears, not just from relief, but from the overwhelming sense of accomplishment and connection she felt. "We helped them. All of us together," she whispered, glancing at the volunteers, firefighters, and strangers who had come to aid the puppies. As the last puppies were loaded safely, Emily's attention returned to Max, who pawed gently at the carrier's blanket. She whispered softly, "I'll see you soon, I promise, you're safe." Dr. Harris nodded at her, smiling. "You've done an incredible job today. Your calm, reassuring presence helped them trust humans again. They've already begun healing because of you." Emily smiled shyly, brushing tears from her cheeks. For the first time that morning, she allowed herself a deep breath of relief. The train station, once a scene of fear and tension, had become a place of hope, compassion, and triumph. The puppies were safe. The town had rallied together, and a small child's courage had anchored the rescue. Emily's whispered reassurances, gentle touches, and unwavering presence had been critical to the puppy's emotional recovery. The volunteers, firefighters, Dr. Harris, and community members realized that heroism sometimes came in small forms: a soft voice, a gentle hand, and steadfast compassion. As the sun continued to rise over the platform, Emily knelt one last time beside Max and the other puppies. She whispered, "You're okay, you're safe, see. The world can be kind too." The small black and tan pup nuzzled her. Luna and Rocky leaned into her hands, and Bella and Duke settled against the blankets. The sense of calm, relief, and emerging trust was almost palpable. This small, heartwarming moment, a child, 5 puppies, and a community united, would linger in everyone's memory for years. Emily realized something profound. Courage, empathy, and patience could ripple outward, transforming fear into hope, terror into trust, and strangers into allies. The puppies, once terrified under the steel train, were beginning a new journey towards safety and love, and Emily had been the emotional heart of that transformation. The community had witnessed something extraordinary, and Emily had learned that even the smallest voice could make a tremendous impact in the world. After the dramatic rescue, the 5 German Shepherd puppies, Max, Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke, were carefully transported to a temporary foster facility set up by the local animal rescue organization. The facility, a cozy warehouse repurposed for emergency care, was buzzing with activity. Volunteers moved efficiently, arranging soft blankets, food bowls, and warm water while ensuring the puppies were safe and calm. Emily, still clutching Max's small carrier, followed closely, her eyes wide with curiosity and concern. She whispered softly to Max, "We're here now, you're safe, see, you're okay." Max pawed at the blanket, recognizing her voice, and let out a soft, relieved sigh. Dr. Harris and the volunteers quickly assessed the puppy's conditions. Max had minor abrasions on his paws and slight dehydration, but his spirit remained strong. Luna's scrapes had begun healing, and her trembling had lessened. Bella, Rocky, and Duke were still wary but showed signs of curiosity about their new surroundings. Emily knelt beside each one as Dr. Harris moved from pup to pup, softly whispering encouragements. "Luna, you're brave. Bella, good girl. Rocky, see, it's okay. Duke, you're safe now." Her small, steady voice had become the emotional anchor for the group, and the pups responded with tentative tail wags and soft nuzzles. The foster volunteers gently placed each puppy in a designated area of the facility, ensuring they had access to warmth, water, and comfort. Emily hovered near Max's enclosure, watching as he sniffed his new surroundings. "You're okay, everything's going to be okay," she whispered, brushing her hand through his fur. Max pressed his head against her fingers, his small body trembling less with each soft stroke. Dr. Harris smiled at Emily. "You've done an amazing job keeping him calm. He trusts you completely because of your care today." Emily's small shoulders lifted slightly with pride, though her eyes remained glued to Max. The foster facility was soon filled with volunteers bringing treats, toys, and supplies. A basket of soft chew toys arrived, and Emily carefully introduced them to the puppies one by one. Rocky sniffed a small stuffed bone before tentatively biting it. Bella pawed at a squeaky toy, and Luna pressed her nose against a soft blanket. Max leaned against Emily's leg, nuzzling her fingers as if seeking continued reassurance. Emily whispered each pup's name over and over, reinforcing the sense of safety that had been established during the rescue. As the day progressed, Emily's presence became more than comfort. It became a source of routine and emotional stability. She helped distribute food in small, careful portions, making sure each puppy felt safe and unthreatened. "Max, here you go, good boy, see, it's okay," she murmured softly. Volunteers watched in admiration, noting how effectively her calm demeanor was encouraging the pups to eat, explore, and start trusting their new environment. Even Luna, who had been the most timid during the rescue, tentatively approached Emily's hand for reassurance. The foster care process also included a gradual introduction to human interaction. Volunteers gently handled the puppies, speaking softly, and allowing them to explore the space without forcing contact. Emily continued to whisper encouragements, stroking Max and speaking to each pup by name. "You're safe, you're brave, you're going to be loved," she said repeatedly, helping to rebuild trust after the trauma of being trapped under the train. Each puppy responded differently. Some wagged tails, others nuzzled her hand, but all began to show signs of relaxation and curiosity. By evening, the puppies had eaten, hydrated, and explored their new surroundings cautiously. Emily stayed with them, kneeling on the floor, brushing back stray fur and whispering words of comfort. Dr. Harris examined each pup again, noting significant improvement in both physical and emotional condition. "They've made remarkable progress today," he said. "Emily's presence has been crucial. She's provided the emotional stability they needed to begin healing." Emily smiled shyly, her eyes bright. "I just wanted them to know they're safe and loved," she said softly. The next step involved finding temporary foster homes for each puppy, ensuring they would continue to receive the care, warmth, and attention they needed. Emily watched as volunteers carefully explained feeding schedules, socialization routines, and safe handling practices to prospective foster families. Max, nestled in a soft blanket, looked up at Emily, seemingly aware that he was about to begin a new chapter in his life. Emily whispered, "It's okay, Max, you're going to have a family soon. Someone who will love you forever." Max nuzzled her hand, his small tail wagging slightly. Emily also helped volunteers record brief profiles for each puppy, noting personality traits and preferences. Luna, gentle and cautious, preferred soft touches and quiet spaces. Rocky, adventurous and curious, responded well to play and attention. Bella, affectionate and attentive, sought human connection immediately. Duke, initially shy, responded to calm voices and gentle handling. Max, small and timid, needed constant reassurance but had shown remarkable resilience. Emily wrote down small notes for each pup, sharing the insights she had gained from hours of observing and comforting them during the rescue. By nightfall, the foster families began arriving to take the puppies into their temporary care. Emily stayed close as Max's carrier was carefully lifted into the car of a local family who had volunteered to foster him. She whispered softly, stroking his fur one last time, "You're okay. I'll visit soon, you're safe now." Max nuzzled her hand and gave a small, tentative lick, a gesture of trust and affection before he was gently carried away. Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke were placed into their respective foster homes in a similar manner, each puppy experiencing a blend of nervous excitement and comfort. The emotional weight of the day settled on Emily as she watched the last of the puppies leave. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but they were tears of relief and pride. She had been part of saving these 5 tiny lives, guiding them through terror, injury, and trauma to a place of safety and hope. Dr. Harris knelt beside her, gently brushing her hair. "You've done something extraordinary today, Emily," he said softly. "These puppies will remember your voice, your touch, and your care. You've given them the gift of trust and love." Emily smiled through her tears, whispering, "I just wanted them to be okay. I wanted them to feel safe and happy." As the foster families drove away with the puppies, the community began to disperse. The rescue had become a story of hope and compassion, one that would be remembered by everyone involved. Emily's mother hugged her daughter tightly, whispering words of pride and love. Emily's small shoulders shook with emotion, but her heart felt full. She had been a part of something extraordinary, saving lives, offering hope, and witnessing the resilience of love and courage firsthand. That night, as Emily lay in bed, she thought of Max, Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke. She imagined them safe in their foster homes, slowly gaining strength and trust, learning to love humans again after their terrifying ordeal. She whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude and hope, promising herself that she would continue to care for them in any way she could. The day had been exhausting, emotional, and intense, but it had also been transformative. She had learned the power of empathy, courage, and compassion, and how even one small person could make a monumental difference in the lives of others. Weeks had passed since the dramatic rescue at the Pennsylvania train station, yet the story of Emily and the 5 German Shepherd puppies, Max, Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke, continued to ripple through the community. Social media posts, local news coverage, and heartfelt messages had spread far and wide. Emily, still only 8, had become a quiet local hero, admired not for fame but for her courage, empathy, and the love she had shown to terrified animals. Yet for her, the true reward was simple, knowing that each puppy had a chance at a happy life. Emily visited Max's foster home first. The small black and tan puppy bounded forward at the sight of her, tail wagging furiously. His once shy demeanor had transformed into playful excitement, though he still sought reassurance in Emily's presence. "Max, hi, good boy," she exclaimed softly, kneeling on the floor. He leaped into her lap, nuzzling her face with warmth and affection. Emily whispered, brushing back his fur and laughing softly, "Look at you. You're strong and brave now, see. You can play, you can be happy, you're safe." Max responded with happy barks and gentle licks, fully trusting the little girl who had been with him during his darkest hours. Next, Emily visited Luna. The timid pup, once the most frightened under the train, now peeked from her soft bed, ears twitching and eyes wide but curious. Emily knelt near her, speaking in the calm, steady voice that had soothed her during the rescue. "It's okay, Luna, see. You're safe, you're going to be loved." Luna stepped forward tentatively, sniffing Emily's hand before leaning in for gentle strokes. Volunteers and foster families explained that Luna had begun responding to play and affection, gradually shedding her fear and learning to trust humans again. Emily's eyes shimmered with pride. Her patient whispers and comforting touch had helped Luna take her first steps toward a life of joy and security. Bella, Rocky, and Duke were thriving in their foster homes as well. Bella had become affectionate and lively, often curling beside her foster family's children and learning playful tricks. Rocky, adventurous and curious, explored every corner of his temporary home, wagging his tail at the sight of new people. Duke, initially shy and wary, had begun to greet visitors with cautious confidence, often seeking the comfort of gentle strokes from Emily during her visits. Each puppy had begun to reclaim the joy that had been stolen by the traumatic incident under the train, and Emily's influence remained evident. Her gentle whispers, soft touches, and consistent reassurance had left an indelible mark on their young hearts. As the community learned of the puppy's progress, the story continued to inspire acts of kindness and generosity. Local businesses donated toys, blankets, and treats, while neighbors volunteered to provide transportation, socialization, and temporary care. Emily participated in small events, demonstrating proper puppy care, safety around trains, and the importance of empathy. Children and adults alike listened in awe, fascinated by the courage of a single child who had helped guide 5 terrified animals from fear into safety. Emily's gentle voice, once whispered beneath the train, now carried lessons of compassion far beyond the station platform. One sunny afternoon, the adoption day arrived. The puppies, now healthy and emotionally ready, were brought to the local community center for meet-and-greet sessions with prospective families. Volunteers arranged cozy spaces for each pup, complete with blankets, toys, and treats. Emily, holding Max's leash gently, watched as children and adults interacted with the once traumatized dogs. Max wagged his tail happily, exploring the space and responding enthusiastically to Emily's soft guidance. Luna cautiously approached a young girl, her small body trembling at first, but Emily knelt nearby, whispering, "It's okay, see. You can trust them, you're safe." Luna gradually leaned into the girl's gentle touch, her trust expanding beyond Emily's presence. Bella, Rocky, and Duke also explored their new surroundings. Bella curled beside a young family, resting her head on the child's lap with contentment. Rocky, playful and energetic, chased a soft toy offered by a volunteer, while Duke gradually allowed a nervous adult to stroke his fur, encouraged by Emily's calm voice. The atmosphere was filled with laughter, gentle barks, and the soft shuffle of paws on the floor. Emily's influence was evident. Each puppy's cautious confidence had been nurtured by the gentle, steady presence she had provided, since the day they were trapped under the train. The adoption process was emotional yet joyful. Families spoke of the long journey ahead, promising care, love, and guidance for each pup. Emily helped match personalities, explaining how Luna's shy demeanor might suit a quieter household while Rocky's adventurous nature would thrive with a playful family. Max, still clinging gently to Emily, was finally adopted by a kind couple who had visited the station during the rescue. Emily knelt beside him as he was gently lifted into their car, whispering softly, "You're going to have a wonderful life. I'll see you again soon. You're safe and loved." Max wagged his tail furiously, his eyes bright with trust and affection. The community celebrated the success of the rescue in subtle yet meaningful ways. Local newspapers ran stories, highlighting Emily's bravery and the collective effort that had saved 5 lives. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones about the courage displayed by a child who had refused to leave terrified puppies alone. Emily's family hosted a small gathering, inviting volunteers, firefighters, and animal rescue workers to share in the joy. Laughter, warm hugs, and shared memories filled the room. Emily's mother whispered proudly, "You've done something extraordinary, Emily. You've changed lives." Emily simply smiled, thinking of Max, Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke, all safe, all loved, all thriving. Weeks later, Emily continued visiting the foster families, watching the puppies grow stronger and more confident each day. Max had learned to play fetch and cuddle at night. Luna ventured further from her safe corner, learning to explore the world with gentle reassurance. Bella greeted every new person with a wagging tail, Rocky delighted in playful adventures, and Duke learned to trust the hands and voices of humans beyond Emily's. Each visit was filled with laughter, happy barks, and gentle nuzzles. Emily whispered constantly, reinforcing safety, love, and trust. "You're okay, you're safe, you're loved, see. The world can be kind." The rescue had left a lasting impact on everyone involved. Emily's courage inspired neighbors, volunteers, and strangers alike, proving that even small acts of kindness could ripple outward to create profound change. The puppies, once terrified and trapped beneath a train, now thrived in loving homes, their resilience a testament to patience, empathy, and unwavering care. Emily had learned the power of gentle presence, courage in the face of fear, and the incredible strength of compassion. Months later, the community gathered once more at the train station, this time for a celebration of life and resilience. Photographs of Emily and the puppies, now healthy and happy, adorned banners, reminding everyone of the journey from fear to safety. Volunteers, families, and neighbors shared stories, laughter, and tears of pride. Emily stood at the center, holding Max on a leash, smiling as he wagged his tail and nuzzled her hand. Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke joined their adoptive families nearby, tails wagging, eyes bright, proof that love and patience could overcome even the darkest moments. Emily's mother hugged her daughter tightly, whispering, "You've made a difference that will last forever." Emily looked around at the smiling faces, the playful puppies, and the community united by compassion. She whispered softly, mostly to herself but loud enough for Max to hear, "We saved them, we all did, and they'll be happy forever." The small black and tan pup leaned into her, and for a brief, quiet moment the world seemed perfect, safe, warm, and full of love. The story of Emily and the 5 German Shepherd puppies spread far beyond their small town, a reminder of courage, empathy, and the transformative power of compassion. Max, Luna, Bella, Rocky, and Duke thrived, growing into strong, confident dogs, forever carrying the memory of the little girl whose whispers had guided them through fear. Emily learned that heroism could be quiet, patience could be powerful, and a small voice could create ripples of hope that changed lives forever. In the end, the rescue wasn't just about freeing puppies from beneath a train. It was about human connection, empathy, and the enduring bonds formed when fear is met with courage and love. Emily's small hands, gentle voice, and unwavering heart had turned a terrifying ordeal into a story of hope, healing, and triumph. A story that would inspire anyone who heard it for generations to come.